We were editing a video the other day with someone we taped an episode with, and I believe it was from 8 months ago. Like it must have been February or March of 2022. And I was watching the video and I had this realization that I didn't recognize the girl in it. And after it played, I said to you, Dan, I was watching this video and I don't recognize her. And I used the word her. I didn't even
Yeah.
say me.
Yeah.
And it may sound a little strange, but I was so happy about it. It's not like I honor her and I honor that part of me at that stage. This was pre my cousin passing too.
Mhm.
I mean, so in that moment, at that time in the past, like she was who she was, learning all that she did. And like those parts of me, her, those people, they're already gone
Yeah.
or integrated. Or I've used this term a lot and I will continue to do so. Like I am finding this journey just a beautiful destruction of me.
Mhm.
Me meaning the smaller aspect of me, not my highest, truest self. And I get so caught up in the destination, becoming more healed, integrating more,
Yeah.
more initiations. Like, what can I learn? How can I evolve? How can I elevate? And I forget to just reflect and honor all of these parts of me that got me to this point.
Yeah. It reminds me, there's actually like three things that jump out as you tell that story. I'm going to try to hit them all. The um the first one is like the Heraclitus quote, where it says, "You never step in the same river twice because, or a man never steps in the same river twice because it's not the same river and he's not the same man," which is so beautiful because we think of ourself as like being permanent and
Yeah.
like consistent, but we're always changing and we're always different and we're never the same person.
Yeah.
And that happens whether it's like on a physical level or after 7 years or whatever, like all of your cells are different, or if it's just like an energetic change that could happen instantly. um, I have noticed in myself that I will look in the mirror and see a different person, even day to day.
Me too.
And
Yeah.
it's a wild thing because like in probably people probably do notice it about themselves and other people and brush it off as no, that's like
Oh,
that's
they
just
must
yeah,
be having a new healthcare
yeah,
skincare routine
whatever
or
it is. But
something.
I'll know like if I'm in a good place, I look better. And if
Yeah.
I'm like in a lower level of like energy or consciousness, like that reflects on my face and my body. And it's so just like it's amazing because you see really quickly, like you'll have a couple of bad days maybe, and then
Mm-hmm.
you wake up and you're feeling good. And you look in the mirror and it's okay. I am significantly more handsome than I was yesterday, and like I don't have that much to work with, so it's like I need to have those good days so I can be as
Very
handsome
handsome.
as possible. But it'll be like I'll just like look like just like more life in my face and my
Yeah.
eyes, and like my jawline will be more defined. It was like I
Yeah.
notice it now.
This is very easily recognized when someone is sick.
Yeah,
Either yourself or you're observing someone else. Like when someone's sick, like obviously they've got cold symptoms or whatever it may be, but there's an energy to them, their aura, what
mm-hmm.
they're emanating is completely different. It's emaciated,
Yeah,
it's sickly.
yeah,
And then once you start feeling better, exactly like you're saying, there's life brought back in. It's like that chi, that prana is back, it's coming more, it's flowing.
yeah. So you could see somebody else day to day, and even though they look very different, we have an idea of them. So that idea becomes Like we almost like brush it off, like, oh, they're having like, well, it's the lighting or the aid or whatever it is. Like we don't give it as much credit
Mm,
as we could, because we like have the idea of what they look like already, and it kind of fits. So it's close
mm,
enough to blend into the idea of what we have of them, which I think is super interesting. And
yeah.
then the third thing,
Wait, what was the second thing?
that was it.
Oh, the mirror thing?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
So
okay,
I'm
okay.
sorry. The second thing that came to me is like, oh, this happens to me,
Oh,
and it
okay.
happens like I notice it moment to moment. So I guess it will stay there. The point that I wanted to make is that like it can be really noticeable over a period of like
Oh,
6 or 7 months
yeah,
when that becomes consistent, where even you don't recognize yourself.
yeah.
And those things, a lot of the time we bounce back and forth between different versions of ourselves, or we'll hit a bunch of different versions of ourselves, and it's close enough that we assume it's all the same,
Hmm.
and we don't pay enough attention to what's actually being reflected to us when we look in the mirror, which is just super interesting. And then, as you said, the third thing, I also thought of the Alan Watts quote, where he talks about like how we're always in a hurry to get somewhere, but like life is a dance. And if you think about like a dance, the point of the dance isn't to get from one spot to another on the dance floor. It's the in between that makes it a
Mm,
dance. And then the other example he uses is like, if getting to the end was the whole point, then symphonies would just be the finale, and everybody would just play that one last note.
yes.
But it's not, writing a good song isn't about how fast you can get to the last note. It's about what happens in between the first note and the last
Oh my gosh, I
note. And
love
that's life.
it. Alan Watts,
Yeah.
just absolutely.
Yeah. So those are the three things that jump out at me when we start talking about
I
that.
appreciate the wisdom that you shared, and I know your experience of the mirror and then
Mhm.
sharing Alan Watts things. But I was journaling about this too because I'm always someone who likes to rush through everything. I'm getting better. But I was journaling about it and it was like, rush to what? Like, really, like,
Yeah.
rush to what destination? Because this is also something that I've realized in the past maybe year or so. I don't love being in something for too long.
Okay. Yeah.
So like the
I know
example
that about you.
is like I wanted to leave Massachusetts and I wanted to leave San Francisco. I thought LA was going to be our forever home, and then I mean obviously shit hit the fan, but we had already been thinking about leaving, and I we were there for 8 years, and I think I was getting stir crazy,
Mm-hmm.
and then I came to the realization I think I like change and I want things different. I want to explore. So what is this rush? I'm not even sure where I'm going.
Yeah.
Not I don't know where I'm going to end up. I don't know who I'm going to be. Like I have an idea of it, but it's just unfolding. And like what a beautiful way to observe all of the parts and the pieces and the aspects of me who got me to this point. I don't necessarily celebrate them or
Yeah. Enjoy the process.
enjoy the process. Like I think I tend to fall into very negative talk with myself. Like I'll think about either in high school or the things I did in college or things that we did in our relationship really young, and it's like, oh, I cringe. I'm like, oh my gosh, I like try not to even think about it. But those parts, those pieces of us were so necessary at that time because that's all we knew. We were surviving. We
Mm-hmm.
were running off of such deep conditioning and programs. And to look back, let alone 8 months ago from the video that I
Yeah.
didn't recognize, like 8 years ago. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. But I have so much more reverence and respect now. I don't need to dwell there. The past is there to inform us and teach us, not to keep us stuck in it if we're looking to learn and grow. Like
Yeah. For sure.
that person, it's she was who she was, and I
Yeah.
honor that.
It was
And
all she could be at that time.
yeah, and I didn't know it then. I know it now.
Yeah.
And a big part of the journey, I think, too, is I had put this as an intention for last year, maybe 2023, is celebrate myself. I wasn't able to do it a lot with my cousin passing. It just I chose to grieve and be sad. And it was a choice, and I chose to do it because I feel I've come out on the other side so much better. I'm not in it anymore. I mean, of course, I'm sad, and there's a lot of grief still, but I'm not. But I forgot. I wasn't celebrating myself.
Yeah.
It was more on what I needed in the moment. So I'm looking forward to doing more of the joyful, playful
Okay. Yeah.
aspects of my personality that I'm also taking with me. Because I think that so much of the integration process, and integration is really like when those pieces, as I'm talking about the past versions of myself that got me to this point, like you do have to integrate them back into the whole of your being. You're trying to become whole,
Mhm.
and like all of these parts and pieces are a extension of you, and just to leave them is kind of where they start like knocking at your door,
Yeah.
like your inner child. I know you guys can't see it, but Eddie's laying at the door, and I went like this and knocked, and he thought
You jumped
someone
out.
was knocking at the door.
He popped up so
Eddie,
fast.
no, honey.
Yeah, wait, man. Yeah,
So they'll knock at your door like, hey, your inner
yeah.
teen's here. I'm reacting to a situation. You didn't integrate me, like you gotta
Hmm.
feel through
Yeah.
this.
It's impossible to love yourself if you don't love all of yourself.
That's a good one. Yes. So
Yeah,
I kind of lost my train
I'm
of
sorry.
thought on where I was going, but no, I was just talking about integrating those pieces of you and
Yeah.
honoring them and bringing them forth because they got you to this point. They've helped you, and like help them now become whole. Bring them with you, like
Hmm.
because what you're not, when you integrate them, you're not necessarily bringing the wounded trauma, um past versions, like you're bringing them with you at a new level of consciousness. You've grown, so like you're just
Yeah.
incorporating them. It's not, you're not living by their kind of rules anymore.
Yeah.
You've just learned from them.
Yeah. You don't need to bring their like coping mechanisms, but you can honor the part of yourself that went through that, enable for you to be the version you are now.
Yeah. And when you look back at it, like can you like looking back at your childhood, your adolescence, like the early 20s, even our early 30s, it's like, whoa,
Mhm.
how it also all makes sense. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, duh.
Yeah.
Okay, it had to happen this way. Like, imagine if you went from the 21-year-old to now this 36-year-old. I wouldn't have even been able to. Like, every step, every misstep has so much wisdom that comes along with it. The journey is so much more fulfilling when you can take that bird's eye view and realize it's like, oh yes, because I do trap myself into, you haven't healed enough, you haven't gotten to this point, you keep it, and it's like, oh, well, I've got to let that go.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying looking back and honoring the process and the journey and those pieces of me, those parts of me that got me to this point.
Yeah. You can always learn more lessons. You can always grow more. There's always more. So if you're waiting until you like get there to start enjoying it, you'll never get there. No matter what it is. You're trying to make more money, you're trying to whatever, like
Yeah.
whatever the process is, it's never ending.
Yeah.
So like stopping and like listening to the music is kind of like the point.
Yeah.
It's like that's life. Like you get in a car to go somewhere and you have like you get in the car, then you get there. The drive, like that's the journey. So it's the same as life. Like you could have a goal and then you get to your goal. The goal isn't life. Life is the process of getting to that goal or getting to that point. And yeah, I think it's like the more we can recognize that, the more like the more we enjoy life.
Yeah. I'm glad that you said enjoy, because that's something that I'm also trying to really work on, doing things that fulfill me, bring me happiness, bring me joy, because I've almost left that out from my childhood and adolescence. And it's when I talked and spoke about integration, integrating those parts of me and not really like recognizing the older versions of me, like they're gone, they're not a part of me
Mhm.
anymore. But I'm forgetting too that like there are pieces of me in past versions of me that have things that she really loved and enjoyed that aren't necessarily bad or detrimental, and I have to really bring those in and
Yeah.
and honor myself in that way. Like when you had that like realization about like playing basketball, like
Yeah.
your inner child was like, play basketball, like just have fun with me. Like, yeah, that part of me is gone. It's no longer there. But like that piece, the basketball piece I'm
Yeah.
using
It's
as an
still
example,
fun.
it's
Yeah.
still fun. Like you can be childlike and enjoy life. Like those parts of you, like that can come even though you've integrated, like you're integrating the best aspects and taking the little pieces.
Yeah.
There was about 2 years ago, just about 2 years now, it was February of 2022. I had a session, an inner child session with this woman who's a metaphysical like coach and spiritual advisor and has like just a spiritual holistic practice. And we had a very intense virtual session of my inner children and healing them, going through all the different stages of my life and past lives that have carried on through my genes and DNA that needed to be let go of and integrated and brought back to kind of like that pure love energy. And at the end, as she was, channeling the wisdom from like my higher self, um, she said, "They're, the parts of you, they're telling me to tell you to celebrate today. Go have a piece of gluten-free cake and celebrate." And I thought like, oh my God, what an amazing way to just honor. Like, I love cake, who doesn't?
Okay.
But I would never have thought of that because like my older quote unquote like wise or knowledgeable version, especially in this
Like the
wellness
mature
health
version.
health
Yeah.
space, like no, cake is too many cow, like you don't need a piece of cake. But it's like that's not what is the point here. The
Mhm.
point is like honor, like yes, have that piece of cake, enjoy it, enjoy life as the journey's unfolding, and keep honoring those parts of you that bring you happiness and bring you joy. Cultivate that into your life now and make it a part of the journey too.